And I call these levels in the prophetic. So when we talk about levels, I'm not talking about one being better or having more authority than the other, but I'm talking about the fact that the prophetic works differently. God uses the prophetic differently through different people, different believers. So let's, as we look at these levels, they can help us understand our role, where God's called us, what he's calling us into, and who we can be to others. So let's just quickly go through some of these levels. So the first one I call the all can prophesy level, and that includes all of us. So if you're here today and you're a believer, you're in level one. I mean, we can be in more than one level as well. So we can all prophesy. And Paul made this quite clear. The Apostle Paul, he said, be eager to prophesy. Don't just prophesy because it's a good idea, but be eager, really desire spiritual gifts, but especially desire to prophesy. And he even says this later. He says, I want all of you to speak in tongues because it's good for you. It'll build you up, and it will also be a blessing if it's interpreted, if it's for others. But I want you all to prophesy. And the conclusion that we make from this is that every believer can communicate with God and give encouraging words. And we've seen this. Every person we've worked with over the years in the area of prophecy, every workshop we've been involved in, we see every single believer receiving and giving encouraging words to others, sometimes very simply, and but in other times, some people get a very accurate and powerful flow of the prophetic. But the beginning place is that we can all prophesy. And so if you're here today in this prophetic seminar, I just bless you to hear and to communicate with God, because his message is his heart, whether we just give it to one person or whether we have opportunity to give it to others, to a group or to a church or to a workplace or to business leaders. It's going to bless people. The second level is the gift of prophecy. And Paul, again, talks very specifically about the gift of prophecy. He says, eagerly desire this gift, especially the gift of prophecy. And in Romans, he says, if your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. So we see prophecy along with other spiritual gifts being a very specific gift. Now, I like to say that the gift of prophecy is like a God-given enabling or a wiring to operate in the prophetic, maybe more regularly or at a high level than the all can prophesy. So we might see more accuracy. We might see people with the gift of prophecy more regularly giving words, and their words being more accurate and really blessing others. So that's the gift of prophecy, and you might be in that area today. You might have moved in prophecy in the past and experienced the gift of prophecy. In the book of Acts, we see, so Luke is telling us about the evangelist, about Philip having 4 daughters. And Luke says these 4 daughters, unmarried daughters, they all prophesied. Wow, 4 prophesying daughters. That would be amazing. If you've got 4 daughters, may they all prophesy. But in this case, just as Philip was known as being an evangelist, that was his ministry, that was the gift that God was working through him, so his daughters were known for prophecy. And so we could say that they operated and they had the spiritual gift of prophecy. The third area that I want to talk about very briefly today, because it's not really our main focus, but that's the ministry of a prophet. And again, Paul says that Christ has given apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. Okay, so these are gifts. So what we call the fivefold ministry, the essential ministries, including prophet, where Jesus has taken a person and put in them a gift and literally made them a gift to the church. So a prophet is actually a gift that Jesus gives to the church. And the main function is in the second half of that scripture in Ephesians chapter 4. The main function of prophets and the other fivefold ministry is to train and equip the church, to build the church up so that they can be mature. So for a prophet, a true prophet will not just be giving really good prophetic words, and often very powerful prophetic words over churches or over areas, but they will also be equipping people to prophesy. And so if you have seen a prophet in operation, if they're not seeing if you're not seeing people being equipped, if you don't feel equipped to prophesy, then that prophet is maybe not fulfilling their true function. Okay, because today, particularly in the world, God is releasing many to train in the prophetic, many to call and equip others. And we'll also see a prophet will have an and authority, maybe that's more than those that operate in the gift of prophecy or the or can prophesy. Prophets are often recognized by a group of believers, by a church, by a ministry, by a movement, and they will be given an authority to prophesy in a way that sometimes is more directional, sometimes is more specific, sometimes can even be realigning or correcting or even confronting. And so that prophet will have authority in that sphere of influence, in that amongst those people that they've been recognized by the leaders or by others to operate in that way. So we generally say, leave this ministry to the prophets. For us that are in the Orc and Prophesy and the prophetic gift realm, let's stick with encouraging, strengthening, and comforting people. Okay, if we're receiving a warning or something that's very directional or very specific for someone, we very definitely need to check that out with our leaders and with others before we give that word to people. But in general, let's stay in the comforting, encouraging, and building up people. Okay, so the good news is that we can all progress in the prophetic. God doesn't leave us stagnant. He wants us all to grow. And the way he worked with Timothy was he said, don't neglect your gift that was given you through prophecy, but be diligent in it. Give yourself to it so that people can see your progress. So I just want to encourage you today, no matter where you're at in the prophetic, if this is all new, or if you've moved in the prophetic in the past, or even if you sense the call to be a prophet, that what we need to do is to be consistent and faithful where we are, to let God speak through us, to communicate through us, and to join us with other prophetic people so we can grow and learn to be accountable, and so God can expand this gifting. And we found for us that God has put us in good prophetic communities. Wherever we've been, whichever country we've been ministering in and living in, God's joined us with prophetic people. And so I want to encourage you to connect with others in EPCC and maybe in Revealing the Heartbeat of God or other places that you might be interfacing with prophetic people. Do it in relationship.